Morning, guys. Staying here from Rocky Creek. So it is early. It is about 5:15 in the morning, and today is going to be practice processing day. What does that mean? I'm going to explain to you here in a minute, but I just got to get these other animals fed real quick because I got to get on the road and go over to my buddy Paul's house. Morning, piggies. Y'all want to eat your food? Hey, chill out a little bit. Hey, how am I supposed to feed y'all when you're knocking the feed pans everywhere? Oh, goodness. Let's get these chickens let out. Good morning, ladies. I know it's early. You're not used to this, huh? Everybody good? Morning. Sorry to wake you so early. Ah, Q-tip, always the first one. What up, Q? Morning, Fitty. Morning, Mater. You doing all right, brother? Good to see you today. So, guys, I was walking over here to Mater's pen. I don't know if they'll do it again, but I heard like the weirdest noise coming from up here, and I'm pretty sure some of these meat birds, where some of them are always possibly roosters, I think there's like that early stages of trying to crow, but it sounded terrible. So what are we talking about by practice processing day? If you remember right, when we got our meat chickens, we ordered, I think it was 30 Freedom Rangers, me and a friend of mine, and we each took 15. Well, when I was on my way to his house, I'd stopped by Tractor Supply to get some supplies, and I saw that they surprisingly had some Cornish crosses in. We wanted to go ahead and give them a try. They only had a handful of them, and so we each got 5. Well, the health of them hadn't been that great. If I'm not mistaken, I think he lost 3, as did I. So we only have 2 apiece of the Cornish crosses. Well, where this is going to be our first time ever doing processing of chickens, we decided, hey, Cornish crosses are supposed to be ready to go sooner than the Red Rangers. Let's go ahead and process those 4 first, and then 4 weeks later, we'll do the big batch of 30, because I've yet to lose any Red Rangers, nor do I think he has. So we're gonna go ahead and go old school, kind of get our feet wet. We're gonna do these Cornish crosses today to just kind of see what it's like and get used to it, so we can better plan for the big processing here in about a month. Now, I am gonna take one of my larger Red Rangers with us so we can process it as well, so I can give you a direct comparison of how the Cornish cross was in comparison to the Red Rangers at the exact same time frame. So I need to grab a couple of these guys, get them loaded up in a crate, get them in my vehicle, and then I'll feed everybody else. All right, so you can see, these are the 3 we're gonna take. We got the 2 Cornish crosses that I had that survived. This one is way bigger than this guy, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. And I just grabbed one random Freedom Ranger. I can't really tell them apart, not especially when I'm in a hurry. So we're gonna take him too, so we can do a comparison on the sizes right at the exact same time, which we're at 8 weeks right now since we got these guys. So I'm gonna get the rest of the meat birds fed. We're gonna get these guys loaded up, and we're gonna head on. All right, guys, so we just arrived here at my buddy Paul and Sarah's house. Like I said, don't use this as a tutorial of how to do this, because we're really just winging this thing, doing it small scale, a little practice session with these few Cornish crosses. So we're gonna do my batch first, the 3. We got the 2 Cornishes, and then I did grab one of those Freedom Rangers. We got kill cone set up right here. We'll put them vertically or inverted, and we'll cut their throat. We found that that's the most humane way to basically put down a chicken. And then from there, we're gonna bring them over to this area that we got set up right here. My man Paul here, he's getting the turkey fryer, which is what we're going to use because it's pretty small scale. He's trying to get temperature up to 150, and then this is where we'll scald. So you can see, looking at the gauge right there now, we're about right at where we need to be. And then over here is where we'll do the cutting and getting all the organs and guts out, and then they'll get thrown into an ice chest right here. I got a couple coolers in my vehicle to throw my few in, but then he's got a pretty cool chicken tractor set up there, and we'll get his birds out of that, and then we'll do his birds right after we get mine cut up. My man Paul here's gonna be my first official guest on the channel. So we're at temp. So I think all we can do now is dive on in. First chicken processed ever by good old Rocky Creek Homestead. So let's get it done. All right, so we actually already just did one of them, as you can see, because I couldn't become a complete idiot in front of everybody. So we're gonna go ahead and do the second one. It actually didn't go too bad.
When you go to taste test.
Definitely a lot more feathers All right, we got all mine processed. They're in the ice on the chest. Paul just killed one of his. Now he's trying to get to his last one. The goal is to get it without the other 15 getting free. Hey, the goal too is not to fall in the chicken poop. Day chicken right there. That's what that is.
Look at the size difference between them two.
So what's up, guys? Staying here. Just got back from my buddy Paul's house. I got the 3 birds all packaged up, and I want to talk real quickly about the differences in the birds themselves that we noticed, and also a few takeaways that I had from my first experience ever processing a chicken. So how they're listed out right now is this was the big Cornish cross, this was the Freedom Ranger at 8 weeks, and then this was that smaller Cornish cross. So you can definitely see the size difference. Now I don't have an official weight on them, but a couple quick characteristics that I noticed very differently is look at the difference in the size of the legs on the Red Ranger versus the Cornish cross. If you're a leg meat kind of guy, that Red Ranger is going to be your best bet probably. And you can tell by the movement of the chickens, and you can see earlier in the video where the Cornish crosses just kind of lay around and these Red Rangers are running around a whole lot more. But then on the flip side of that, look at how big that breast meat is on that Cornish cross. I mean, it's just massive as compared to the breast meat on this Red Ranger. Now, you see a few of these little dark spots. That's just where we didn't get all the feathers out, and I'll need to pull those out again before I cook it if I want to be on the safe side. So definitely this seems like more of a dark meat type of bird as compared to the Cornish, and the Cornish is definitely a breasted bird. Now, one thing I was not expecting, and I had to do some research while we were there, is I talked about that one chicken's a Lieutenant Dan chicken as a joke, but you see it's missing a drumstick. Well, we noticed. So before I even processed this chicken, when I picked up the Cornish cross to go ahead and kill it, I had noticed that looking at the skin had like a bluish color to it, a greenish blue color. So I was kind of like, that's a little odd. Well, after we processed it, I could see the leg actually looked like it had like bruising or something going on with it. It just looked funny. And so we went ahead and researched it, and the best we can find is that it's they call it green muscle disease or organ disease. It's got different names, but basically there's nothing dangerous about it. They say it doesn't affect the taste of the meat at all. It's perfectly safe to eat. It's basically an aesthetics thing, and that it's becoming more of a common occurrence that has to do with broiler type chickens, such as, you know, a Cornish cross or a Freedom Ranger or something like that. And it can either be caused by trauma, or it can also be caused by a lack of oxygen to a particular muscle in the chicken. So what we ended up doing though was, just for aesthetics reasons, I just cut the leg off. It was only a small portion of the leg was like that, but I just went ahead and cut the whole leg off just to not to worry about it. It's not going to affect a whole lot. So that's kind of what's going on with that. So yeah, don't freak out if you see that, because that definitely, I didn't know what to think of it till we did some research on it. Now, I really did like these shrink wrap bags. I think using these shrink wrap bags was probably the easiest thing of all that out of the entire process. And then we secured them here with these zip ties. Overall, I actually think the experience was a lot easier than what I had anticipated. Now, what do I need to think about moving forward? Let's talk about that. Let me get these put back in the fridge. So a couple things about the processing. Number one, it actually did go a whole lot smoother than I thought. I was a bit intimidated going into it, but it definitely got easier the more and more that I did. Now, don't buy into everything that you watch online. Now, I think watching a lot of videos online definitely helped me. However, some of the stuff that they said that they thought was the most difficult part, I didn't find difficult personally. For me, where I struggled the most was up in the top part where the neck and the breast are, getting that trachea and that CRAW and getting all that membrane broken up. That to me was actually the hardest part of all of it. The rest of it was actually pretty easy in my opinion. Now, every check-in I did out of the 3, it got better as it went. So when we get to doing, you know, the whole batch of 30, you know, we should have it down pretty well by the end of that point. One piece of equipment that we didn't have, and we did it on purpose with these 4, was just to try out was, you know, doing a hand plucking versus using a plucker. I will say that the bulk of our time was invested in plucking the chicken. The actual dispatching of the chicken and working on the innards, once we got good with that, really didn't take up a whole lot of time. The plucking was more of the time consuming part of it. It's a big expense. You know, you're talking for a good plucker, you know, $350, $400, $500 for kind of the amount of chickens that we would need to do on an average basis. The plucking of them wasn't as intensive as what I thought. Now, could it get to me after doing 30 birds? Most likely so. Now, the Cornish crosses were definitely easier to pluck than the Red Rangers. One interesting part, and I know this is kind of gruesome, that I thought was very odd, was the Cornish crosses. When we dispatched them, you know, yes, there was a little bit of blood. The Freedom Ranger, or Red Rangers, when I dispatched it, it had a whole lot more blood in it when we dispatched it. And I don't know if that just has something to do with their much more mobile chicken or whatever it was, but I can tell you from a physical standpoint, that was very noticeable difference, the amount of time it took for them to bleed out versus the Cornish cross. I know that's kind of gruesome to talk about. However, I'm just trying to share with you all the notable differences that I saw between the birds. which chicken would I go with moving forward? I can't answer that yet because number one, I haven't tasted one. We will do a taste test video where I will cook both birds at the same time, and we will do a blind taste test to see which one tastes better. I can tell you from kind of the way my brain works and trying to go from a more natural type of raising chickens, currently I am leaning towards a Red Ranger because to me they act more like a chicken, they move more like a chicken. I may not get as much meat from them, but when I see them and how they're acting, to me that's a normal chicken. Those Cornish crosses, they act very odd. You know, they're just very lethargic. They just kind of frump around. Now, we did get ours from two different hatcheries at the end of the day, because Tractor Supply gets theirs from one hatchery, and we of course got ours from Town Line Hatchery for the Red Rangers. So there's a lot more factors that could play into why we saw what we saw, but if I had to order today, I would probably lean more towards the Red Rangers than the Cornish crosses, but that is to be determined. We didn't get into a real in-depth discussion in terms of how I was processing the stuff, but I just wanted to take you along because this was me and my friend Paul. This was our first go at it. We just winged it. We went after it. Yeah, we watched a few videos try to help us out leading up to this, but that day of it, we didn't watch anything. We just went off of what we have seen previously, and we just worked through it. So, you know, don't be intimidated if you want to try something like this. You know, you just got to take your time, work through it, and just do the best you can with it. And, you know, right now, it's only 3 chickens, but I got 3 chickens to feed my family that if I were to talk about this a year ago, I would have thought there's no way I'd have done it. So sometimes you just got to go outside your comfort zone and try something new. I hope this video was beneficial to some of you all. I know it can be kind of gruesome and kind of hard for some people to understand or to talk about, you know, dispatching of an animal or killing of an animal to produce meat for a family. But I just wanted to share this with you because this is a reality of what we're trying to do in order to raise good, healthy, pasture-raised poultry here on our homestead. So guys, I appreciate you hanging out with us today. I appreciate you spending time with us. I appreciate this kind of going on this kind of gruesome yet interesting journey. I hope you were able to take something away from this. Take care of one another, and we'll see you here real soon on the next video. Y'all be good.